Welcome to Planetary Gig Talk. Namaste, everyone. This is Jefferson Glassie, Chief Spiritual Dude of the Planetary Gig Society, whose mission is creating unity through music, or as I like to say, making connections through music with the intention of bringing peace. This is the first time we've done one of these Planetary Gig Talk live sessions, so we're learning as we go along. I am in Studio One of the worldwide headquarters of the Planetary Gig Society. I am not on the banks of the Ganga River, but certainly that is where I met Raj and Yahor, who are here. And I want to just introduce them briefly, have them say hello, and then give a little bit of the background. So, Raj, how are you? Raj Sagonaka?
Namaste, Jeff. Thank you for inviting me in this conversation. I'm very good. How are you?
Very good. Right now you are just a few blocks from the location of this picture.
Yes, that's Rishikesh. Yes, I'm in Rishikesh.
Yeah.
Near the Ganga. Yes.
And also Yahor, Jeihalo, who I met in Rishikesh at the Devi Music Ashram with Raj, and we played some music together. It was very nice. Yahor, you are in Belarus now, though.
Yes. You
came back to your home.
Yes. Hello to everybody. Namaste. I'm very happy to join this talk, and thank you, Jeff, to invite me. And looking forward to talk.
Yes, thank you so much. And then also, Nirmalya Dey, Nirmalya Ji in Delhi, famous singer, musician from India. Thank you so much for joining this conversation. How are you?
Namaste, I'm doing well. Thank you very much for inviting me in this panel discussion. So I'll be happy to share my experience about the sonic practice that what I have did or till to this date, what I have experienced, I can share with all of you.
Okay, thank you so much. So this came about because I have been for Planetary Gig Society doing podcasts called Planetary Gig Talk, and I had a good occasion to be in Rishikesh, India. I had a business trip to Delhi, and then I ended up going to Nepal, and actually got one of the last planes out of Nepal back to the United States in March. But while I was there in Rishikesh, one of the reasons I went, I wanted to go see Maharishi's ashram, where the Beatles went in 1968. And that was very moving, but kind of amazing, really, high on the banks of the Ganga, just downriver from where you're looking. But I just sort of fell into, coincidentally heard about and walked into the Devi Music Ashram, which is a very special place, a big yellow four-story building in Rishikesh, and they have performances, and people live there and stay there. They have training, education, music, etc. Raj can tell you a little bit more about that before we get into the topic. But when I did interview Raj for the podcast, he talked about the concept of Naad, and it was very new to me. I wasn't sure what it was about. Later, I heard on some recordings Ravi Shankar talk about a Naad, and I thought this is a very interesting concept. And as stated in the invitation, there are similar concepts in the West, I think. In Victor Wooten's book, The Music Lesson, he talks about the concept of zero. And there's many other, I think, religious aspects of this, maybe space between the notes or the unstruck sound, etc. So I just thought it would be great to learn more about it and maybe have Western musicians or others learn about it. So I just wanted to ask Raj if you would say briefly, maybe just say something about the Devi Music Ashram, and then please explain your concept of Naad and how you understand it. That would be great.
Well, the Devi Music Ashram, we started here in Rishikesh. So the main focus is in this ashram is music, to learn music and to teach music, to organize concerts and make connection with music. But we also work here on different aspect of a human being. Like as a human, we have many aspects. We have, you can say, we have made a 29-point program, sorry, and we work on that. And maybe I can read quickly the 29 programs. So the first is love nature, enjoy nature, and protect nature. The second is make more plantation. Third is love animals, be vegetarian, appreciate art and culture, do more work and be creative. Then there's maintain cleanliness, think logically, act scientifically, develop universal brotherhood, and it goes on like that. So we think that there, as a human being, we have many aspects. We have animality, we have rationality, morality, aesthetics, and spirituality, of course. So we want to work on all these aspects, but we want to explore the spiritual aspect of human being through music. So our main focus is on the music here in the ashram. So in brief, I can just say this about the ashram, and everybody is welcome here in Devi Music Ashram in Rishikesh, and we do many different kind of activities here.
Yes, thank you. So when we talked in the podcast, you discussed Naad, and so how do you describe Naad?
Well, the word Naad means sound. So I would like to say, like, first that we must understand the Indian approach, because it's a philosophical aspect, philosophical subject, also as a metaphysical aspect of music, metaphysical aspect of philosophy. So we must understand that in India, the word philosophy in India means darshan. So it doesn't mean the same thing. The philosophy means love for wisdom in English, but in Hindi, the same subject have different name. The name is called darshan. Darshan means to get directly, to see the truth directly, to experience truth is darshan. So it's called darshan approach. Like in West, we use, there is more mental approach towards philosophy. And in India, we have more experiential approach. So, so about Naad, so I think that the Naad, in the ancient time, there were many great saints who were also musicians. So going deep into their musical exploration and musical journey, they had this revelation is the right word? I'm not sure.
Revelation?
Yeah, revelation. So they experienced, I think, the enlightenment, and they experienced the spirituality, the ultimate reality through music. So it is more a thing of to experience. So from ancient time, many people got enlightened through music. And they had many experiences of spirituality through music. So they discovered that there is two kind of sound is called Anahat Naad and Ahata Naad. So Anahat Naad is the sound which is always there. So the main concept of Naad is that everything is sound. And then there is a eternal sound. There is a sound, a vibration of the cosmos, which is the eternal sound. And then there is sound of things when we play music, the struck sound, when you hit something and it creates sounds which your senses can experience, is the Ahata Naad. And the Anahat Naad is the internal sound, the sound of your consciousness, the sound of the universe. And you can connect to this sound through Ahata Naad, through the music also. The music, so in Indian classical music, we have many very deep exploration of notes, of sound, and through which you can experience the ultimate reality, the ultimate enlightenment. And in old times, music in India was not a subject, it was not for entertainment, but it was a spiritual, it was a spiritual path. It was all the great musicians of the past were saints. So they were worshipping and meditating with music. So they have discovered many great things about the music, and which is there in our classical music in different aspects of Indian classical music. There's dhrupad singing, and there are many kind of music. So this is my idea about the Anahat Naad, and it is more of not a thing of the mind. Through mind we can understand that this is the concept, but to really experience it, you have to go deep into it, and you have to really connect to it. So it's more experiential than mental.
Okay, thank you so much, Raj. Yahor, I met Yahor, as I said, in Rishikesh, and we had the great opportunity to play music together, Raj and Yahor and myself, and it was one of the highlights of my visit there. Yahor, could you please
Yes.
give your thoughts about Naad?
Okay, I will try to tell what I think. So for me, Naad is a sound, and because I am also study Western music and Indian music, and I try to see on it from both perspective. And I see sound is like physical is vibration. So it's and how we know everything have his own vibration, and everything is waves. So sound is a kind of energy which is we can feel. In this vibration giving us special feeling. We can experience some something through this vibration, like we can experience some another things, like when we for example eating through the mouth, we can feel something. Same we can feel through the vibration, through the sound, through the waves. So, and this is give us special, I can tell, like special experience and special state of mind, which is maybe special, yeah, kind of mind, when we can little bit our thinkiness become, it's like I can say it's kind of meditation, or in a in Western you can say it's kind of stillness, when you can listen sounds. You know, sometimes we listen sounds of rain or sounds of nature, and we feel very in harmony with ourselves and with universe. So for me, this Anahat Naad, it's this experience of harmony through the sound. And there is many examples of Western musician and Indian, of course, musician. I have opportunity to learn from scholarship in Indian classical music, and I'm very happy to meet Nirmalya Dey and to have more knowledge of dhrupad music, because dhrupad is very deep and based in the sound and the quality of sound and the connection between note and microtones. So it's totally different concept than Western music. But also in Western music, we have many great musicians. Like now, I can tell you, for example, one Estonian composer, his name Arvo Pärt. So the way he used composing and the way he use notes and composing, it's, I think, very close to also dhrupad music, because every note he used very careful and very, he also used paused, like source of like notes, like a source of music. So, and to listen his music, it's very you can experience this state of like silence of mind. So for me, Naad is it's sound. Totally, yes, it's sound which is give you experience of something tranquil and something. It can be tranquil. It can be also, there is different kind of music. So, but I interested more about classical music, Indian classical and Western classical. So this is kind of yes, special feeling given you. So, and we can experience through the music some different state of mind, different state of feelings, different feelings. Thank you.
Yes, nice. Nirmalya Ji, how are you? It's so nice to have you here. We would love to hear you discuss a little bit your thoughts about Naad or Nada through your music and whichever way that you would like. You're muted right now. Let's see. I can unmute you. Yep, there you go.
Is it okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the word Naad, it comes from the Sanskrit root, which means the flow, the stream. That is the literary meaning of Naad. The etymological meaning of Naad is defined as the stream of consciousness, and significantly the word Naad is also synonymous with the musical sound. So the process of experiencing Naad as four dimensions, metaphysical dimensions. I'm talking about now the metaphysical dimensions of Naad. There are 4 levels of metaphysical dimensions. relating to the frequency, fineness, and strength quality, which can be compared to the yogic principle of para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari. These are the four metaphysical state of mind described in yogic practice: para, pashyanti, madhyama, and vaikhari. And with the experience of practice, what I had so far, I can explain that nada has also these four different finer dimensions, because para means the highest or the farthest, experienced as the transcendent or supraconscious sound having high and low frequencies. Of course, it is less than 16 and more than 20,000 hertz, which can't be apparently identified by the sense organ. And this astral sound is only perceived in different dimensions by higher level of consciousness. That is the para. Means it is existing, but it is not yet apparent. It is there, but we are still not connected with it. And then the second phase is pashyanti, which is manifested, which is identified by the sense organ. In this state of sound, it becomes more perceivable in conscious, half conscious, or subconscious state of mind. The sound which has fewer vibrations than para and pashyanti and finer manifestation than vaikhari is called madhyama. This is the third phase of the nad. One can experience an initial comprehension about the sound at this level, which is hardly audible in nature, but deeply contemplated by the practitioner of music. The fourth and the explicit state of nad is vaikhari. This is the last stage, which generates the apparent sonic energy. Its vibrations are limited to a certain range and produced of frictional force. Para has the quality of soul, pashyanti has the mental quality, madhyama has the finer quality of the vocal organs and the musical instruments, and vaikhari has the coarse quality of the voice and instruments. So if you allow me, I would like to explain these four different dimensions of nad, that how it is perceived in these four different stages. So I'm trying to explain it with a demonstration, small demonstration about rag yaman. Indian classical music is essentially based on the ragas. And every raga has its own philosophy, own image, and own mood and everything, aesthetics, aesthetical value and all. So when we speak about raga yaman, then we know that there is a raga called yaman, which is already existing. We are not thinking about it, we are not singing it, we are not producing any sound which is establishing the rag yaman. But the moment we talk about rag yaman, we know that this exists. So this is the state of para, which is absolute truth. It is perpetual, you can say. So it is there. And then when we speak about the rag, when we think about the rag, then the idea, the mood of the rag comes into our mind, which is called Pashyanti. The meaning of Pashyanti is to look at. So the moment you think about the rag, then the mood of the rag is in your mind. It's, you still didn't sing it, you know, the sound is not yet apparent and nobody is hearing anything. Only the drone instrument is on and you are thinking about the mood of the rag. So for a musician, the mood is already there in his mind, you know. So this state is Pashyanti, the second state. And Madhyama is to enter into the process of discovering the raga, unfolding the raga. So that is called Madhyama. And unfolding the raga is a very progressive way. It is not just some combination of tones or the ascending and descending scale of the raga. You know, when we start unfolding the raga, it starts with very little and small number of melodic movements. And with that small domain of the melodic combinations, we try to establish the mood of the raga, maybe within 2 or 3 tones of the entire scale. So that is called the initiation. You are entering into the process of discovering or unfolding the raga. That is the Madhyama. So I explained about Para, Pashyanti and Madhyama. And then Vaikhari is to explore it in a full way. So Para is unheard. It is there, it is existential, and it is perpetual, which is not apparently perceived or exposed. Then Pashyanti, the moment we think about, the mood is there. And then the Madhyama. For an example, if I want to start with Rag Yaman, so I will do like the, So the moment you do that, the people who know about this melody, immediately they will understand this is the beginning of Raga Yaman. So I just sang 4 tones. So within this domain, I have already established the mood of the rag. So that is the process of discovering, which is known as Madhyama. And then when you explore the rag in totality, then you start singing the entire melody. So now it becomes completely explicit, which is called Vaikhari. That it has become completely apparent for the common listeners. So these are the 4 different metaphysical state of Naad. And of course, Raj was talking about Ahata Naad and Anahat Naad, and they are the integral part of Indian music. And Ahata Naad is apparent, which is struck sound, which is produced by Hello? Hello?
Yes, you're good. We can hear you.
Yeah. So, Ahata Naad, it is Ahata Naad. Ahat means the struck sound. And that is apparently produced by the musician with voice or in the sound of the instrument. And Anahat Naad has a very significant role in Indian music because we don't work only with the real tone. In actual practice of Indian classical music, we use different shades of one tone, which is known as microtone. And these microtones are definitely, they are audible, that is for sure. But when they are not played, when they are not struck, they are not apparent. For an example, ni re ga, everybody knows that this is ga, the third tone. Re na. So if I sing like that, the people will come to know that this is ga, ni re ga. But if I do like that, re na ra, ni ga re ga re sa. So it is not the same tone that I am applying for ga. The two times I sang the same tone with different tonal shades. And these are already there. But the moment you struck it, it comes apparent. Otherwise, they're hidden. You know. So this is also a form of unheard sound. And then secondly, of course, when you play the drone instrument, there are many overtones coming out which are not apparent for the untrained listeners. But if you really tune the tanpura in the right way, then you can perceive all the 12 tones and their microtones. It depends on the level of your perception, that how can you perceive it. So the perception of Anahat Naad, Anahat Naad, is also very, very important. And without the understanding of Anahat Naad, you cannot justify the presentation of Ahata Naad for discovering or unfolding a rag. Because, for an example, the same tones are used in different ragas. Like ni re ga re sa. Now re ga pa da pa ga re ga re sa re ga pa da sa. This is a pentatonic scale. It's known as Bhupali. It's very popular rag. Sa re ga pa da sa da pa ga re sa. This is a night melody, a pentatonic scale. So when I'm singing, see the same Gandhar I'm singing, the third tone, for Rag Bhupali, and the same scale I'll be singing for another Rag that I'll mention later. So Ri Ra Na Ra Na Ga Re Sa Da Sa Re Ga Re Sa. Now, the same tonal movement I'll be doing with the combination of same tones, but with the difference of the microtones, you will see the entire mood of the melody will be changed. And this raga is called Deshkar, and it's a morning melody. Same scale, sa re ga pa da sa da pa ga re sa ri re na na ga sa sa da da pa ga ba da pa ga sa re ga sa re ga sa pa ga sa. So this is rag deshkar, and the before of what I was singing was re no. So you see, the same tone has different structure, completely different image, and so this also relates to this the concept of anahat, because these things are there, they are unstruck, but the moment you strike them, they become apparent. So Anahat Naad is perpetual also. It is always there around us. Just we need to perceive it and to use them for our purpose.
Wow, Nirmalya Ji, that is so interesting. I think I would qualify as an untrained listener. It's fascinating to me. I want to know more, but there's so many things I'd like to ask. How do you how should untrained listeners, maybe Western listeners or musicians, think about this, and what might be the things that we could learn from this, these concepts?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it is very simple, and at the same time it's very complex, and everything is bound in a discipline of practice, and the most useful thing what we do is to acclimatize our the physical body and also the astral body. The first practice what we do is the early morning practice, what we call as courage. It is the practice of the tones in the lower octave. And normally, this practice is supposed to be started before sunrise and to be finished before sunrise also. And we call it as Brahma Muhurat. And according to the Greek philosophy also, they say that the moon, earth, and sun, they are in the closest proximity at that time. And the level of energy in the human being is at the highest order after the night-long good sleep and rest. So you are in more peaceful mind. Your mind is not scattered about the worries of life and thoughts and all. So you can free yourself from those anxieties and worries and concentrate on the musical tones. And well, the process, the process of courage, it starts firstly with listening to the drone instrument that we practice with, the tanpura, because it is very, very essential instrument. It's like a fulcrum that proves you whether you are right or wrong. So firstly, we start with the listening to that instrument, because apparently in that instrument there are only two tones tuned. There are only four strings, and there are only two tones, sa and pa, the first and the fifth tone. But the speciality of the quality of the sound of tanpura is that though these two tones are tuned in that instrument, it produces lots of microtones. With the harmony of this first and the fifth tone, there are many resultants, microtonal resultants, that we need to perceive. And of course, it is not obvious for everybody. It takes years to understand and to perceive those microtones. But it is apparent, once you educate your listening, you can really hear it, and you can really play with those microtones. It is amazing. So this is the first practice we do, that is to make a kind of conditioning of your listening system. That is one of the most important sense organ. And then to project your mind to that, the energy of sound, the sonic energy from the tanpura which is coming out. So with that, what happens that the first tone is completely established, and you can see the relative tonal shades around it. And we start with a very slow motion, like singing one tone with your full breath for 15 seconds, 20 seconds at a spell, how far your respiratory system allows you to hold the tone for a long time. And along with that singing, also you have to listen to the tanpura, and you have to harmonize your produced sound with the drone instrument, and then perceive also the resultant tone from the harmony of your sound and the sound of the tanpura. So it's a unique process to perceive all these tonal shades. So this is the basic practice that we do mostly in the lower octave. Because why it is done in lower octave? Because when you play an instrument in the lower octave, you can see the distance between the one tone to other is much more than the higher octave. So that's why we choose the lower octave, to be able to see more and more tonal shades. That's why it is important to practice early morning in the lower register. So this is the basic trick that we try to discover the tonal shades. And amazingly, the thing is that this kind of understanding, these are the basic understanding, but how to apply these tonal shades in actual practice while singing a rag is completely another way of learning and practice. So these two different things need to be combined for a musician.
Yes, thank you so much. I did want to ask a question of Raj, and I'm conscious, of the time that we have, but I'd like to ask a question of Raj and Yahor, and then ask if, Steve or Wayne would like to ask any questions. But Raj, we have one of the things that I've been thinking about is wondering, well, there's the Anahat Naad and the Ahata Naad. I mean, what is the sound of thunder, or the sound of the water in a stream, or other sounds in nature, bird sounds, etc.? And how do you perceive that what Western musicians can learn from these concepts that seem so complex to us? I'm interested in what you might think about that.
I think each sound, when in Indian classical music, it's amazing that there is the shade of each music, as Guruji was saying, there is a full study of the whole musical pattern, And so a raga, Indian musical a raga is like a personality. It is not just a musical composition. It is like a personality. When you sing certain rag, it creates a personality and a mood. So yes, each sound that you hear have is like ingredient, and you can take these ingredients and create something. So, but in Indian music, and Indian ragas are not fixed, it's not a fixed composition. There's a lot of freedom of movement. So, yes, like it's identifying with the ultimate reality, the supreme consciousness, the Sat Chit Anand through music. So when the raga is played, you get into a certain mood, in a certain, and you experience certain personality, and you can experience your true self through music. So ragas are like different, representing different personality. And when a raga is played, you can experience, you can feel that 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 personality. It becomes like a living thing. When a raga is performed, it becomes like a consciousness, and you can relate with it. You can relate with your true self through music. So it's very deep study and nice subject. And yeah, so I think each sound of the nature is also representing some aspect, some mood, some color, some thing. And you can all take this and create a beautiful picture, like painters make with paint. With sounds, you can create a personality and a consciousness, and you can connect with it to the supreme consciousness.
Even as in dogs barking, I suppose.
Yes.
These sounds that we have. Yahor, I'd like to ask another thing. I have studied Victor Wooten's book, The Music Lesson, and he talks about the zero in as sort of the space between the notes, and others talk about that. Some of the musicians I've listened to here talk about the empty space, the space of not knowing, or the place where all intelligence is. I know that you're also a filmmaker in addition to playing music. How do you think about Naad in terms of these concepts? That are about the empty space, the zero, the place of universal intelligence, etc. And maybe that goes to some of your filmmaking as well. Do you have thoughts about that? I was trying to unmute you too, but maybe we were about trying. Oh, there you go. Hold on. Yeah.
You hear me? Okay.
Yes, now, yes. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, it's very interested things and conception about the sounds which is coming from the I believe like I feel like sounds should have some base to from which sound is coming. So like in many different philosophy, like there is in Japan philosophy of Zen, or there is in Western philosophy of stillness, and philosophy of yes, emptiness. So the sound coming from the silent, yes, and we should listen not only sounds, we should listen also space between sounds, because it's also the tool to create to express. For me, it's music is language, like poetry, like painting, like filmmaking, also films. It's a kind of what we trying to express, something which we cannot express by the words, because that's why like poetry, they try to combine words in certain way to create new feeling. So this music for me, it's also the language, and we can use note and emptiness also to uh, create the feeling, special kind of feeling, and special, because we experience in this world, we experience so many things, and we try to express through the kind some language, and music is a way of expressing this, and something which we can it's like we can how to say, we experience some experience it something, and through the music we try to share it with people, share it with a musician, and so we're trying to create this harmony, because I believe every person, this is world is not in a harmony, I mean a physical world. So every person trying to make harmony. So because it's uh, our nature to organize, to be in a harmony. So the music is the way to not only music, the, how I say, painting, films. For me, it's the language. So, and yes, the silence, it's a very important part of this language, and important tool. And how I mentioned Arvo Pärt, I very like this composer. He's from Estonia, but now live also in Berlin. And he now the most famous classical musician, alive classical musician. And his works now playing the most popular, the most orchestra playing the works. You can, I should, I can recommend everybody to listen his works, and how he uses the notes, how he uses silence. Also, it's given very big effect. Yeah.
Thank you. I was wondering, since we just have a very nice, intimate group here, Steve or Wayne, do you have any questions or anything you'd like to add, to say? Can you unmute, or I can unmute you? Either one.
Sure.
Go ahead, Wayne.
I think we'd both like to input some, but go ahead, Steve.
Go ahead.
For me, okay. I would just like to say thanks first for everyone for introducing this topic to me. I'd never heard of it before reading the invite to the meeting. Just dropped in to see what it was about, but I found it very interesting, kind of to get introduced to it and how it relates to music today. One of the things that was mentioned about the ragas, and just a few tones set the mood and let people know kind of what it was coming up. Introduce. To me, I felt that was kind of like a jazz pianist playing an intro to a standard by just playing through maybe the chord progression or a portion of the chord progression. and it kind of gives the listeners, it sets the mood, and then they go into that melody, they hit a couple of notes, and it's instantly people know what song they're playing. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. But that's about it. Thank you, everyone, for the demonstration discussion.
Yes. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, I think this is very profound, and I'm very grateful to be part of it. And thank you all for this. My question, I have a couple questions that probably are very similar. Is a raga an improvisation over an existing framework? Maybe the kind of way Western jazz works. There might be a melody people recognize, and then over a framework, is there an improvisation? Are there existing scales that are used? Kind of like in the West, we have minor scales and major and diminished. And then I have another question after that.
Okay, who would you like to answer that? Nirmalya Ji, would you like to? I'll unmute you. Oh, there you are.
Yeah, sure. It's a very good question, Steve. Always this question is commonly asked by the Westerners, and basically the Indian classical music is also based on certain scales. Of course, every raga has been assigned to certain scale, but the scale doesn't establish the mood of the rag. So you have to establish the mood of the rag, you have to make a special and specific melodic movement. That is what important. You can make different variations within the combination of 2 or 3 tones, and you can establish the mood of various ragas likewise. So it is not only the application of the tone fixed in its right position, it is the manipulation of the tonal shades, and you sing the obvious phrase of the melody, which eventually establish the mood of the rag. So that is the concept. So the scale is basically there, but we play with the tonal shades, and that helps us to establish the mood of different ragas.
Thank you. Are there words that you're singing that I don't understand, or is it are there syllables, just sounds?
Well, in Indian classical music, we use 2 different kinds of song texts. One is linguistically meaningful, and one is linguistically meaningless. So linguistically meaningful words are normally the text or the composition written in that raga, composed in that raga. But in many cases, especially in dhrupad tradition, we unfold the raga with musically non-linguistic texts, which is not which has no meaning, but you use the set of meaningless words in a manner that it sounds like a poetry, which will eventually carry the value of your emotion, the artistic manifestation, your thought, your musical thought. So we use all these meaningless words also.
This is fantastic. It's so exciting. And may I ask, please, too, Yahor, who was the composer that you mentioned very enthusiastically a few minutes ago?
This is, do you hear me? Yeah, okay. So this is a composer, it's Estonian composer. His name is Arvo Pärt. Arvo Pärt.
You could, in the little chat down in the bottom.
Yeah.
You could go there and write it in, and Steve could see it, see the word,
Yes, chat. I see now chat. Okay, I will write, yes.
Yeah. Yes, this is so fascinating to me, and I feel like I don't understand anything. But I guess I am most interested in how these concepts can help us, not only Western musicians, but people all over, because it seems like there's sort of a connection to the Naad, maybe to the Anahat Naad, that is helpful, because it seems it's sort of the source of everything. Nada Brahma, the world is sound. The entire universe is created from sound. I tend to think the more we know about that, the better we are. I don't know why I think that, but I'm wondering if each of you have thoughts on that, or any other thoughts you would like to express. And maybe we could start with Raj, and then Yahor, and then Nirmalya Ji. Anything else that you might want to say about this concept, and that maybe wasn't said, or that you'd like to add in? Raj?
Yes, sorry, there was some connection problem. So you asked about how it can help. I think it's good to, you can read more about Indian music and about ragas, and you can listen. There's a lot of things available on YouTube, and you can, listening is, I think you can do and learn more about it. It's a very vast subject. There's a lot to learn. You can spend all your life learning about the different forms and ragas. So yes, it's listening is, I think, listening to good music is very important to know it.
Yes, and I suppose people can come to when we can travel again, people can come to the Devi Music Ashram and learn some of this. I plan to come back. Yahor?
Welcome.
Thank you. Yahor, do you have other thoughts, and what do you think we can learn from this?
Yes. In my experience also, because I have opportunity to learn Indian music, and when I come to India, I can hear many different classical musician, and for me it's I cannot so much, because I have a Western education and Western hearing, so I cannot really understand who is, you can say, who is more better, who is like, for me it's very difficult. But slowly this time, like Raj tell, to listen music, to listen nice musician, to also to have some person who can a little bit tell about this music, to explain, some teacher who can explain and who can show the structure of Indian classical music, the some speciality of classical music. And after some years, I can start listening some nuances of this music and enjoying this very much. And after, in the beginning, I discovered also dhrupad music, but I not really understand so much. But I feel there is some very, very big depths in this music. So after some years, I more and more understand, and the microtones and the beauty of this slowly movement of the tones. This is incredible, and it's the enjoyment coming from this, and to listen this, it's need to train of ears. Yeah, ears, training of ears. Yes, like listening nice music, do conversation like this, like we have now. Yes, and experience it.
Okay, thank you. Nirmalya Ji, any final thoughts about that? anything you would like to, some wisdom you can give us, maybe? Yep. All, you got it? There you go.
Yeah. Yes, sharing this kind of knowledge is definitely helpful for everybody who is in quest of understanding the sonic energy of music, you know. And because learning music for me, you know, it is not just having or gathering some informations. It has to do with the upliftment of your own the level of understanding, intellectuality, creativity, and thoughts, imagination, and everything. So, with this kind of exchange of knowledge, actually, we can put more energy into our life force, what we call as prana. You know, that is the main center of energy which allows her to be motivated into the practice, to be able to understand, to be able to realize, to be able to be explicit and manifest our art. So energizing the life force is more important through this kind of understanding and practice. So I hope this will be very much fruitful for the people, this sort of information.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so grateful that you all have taken the time to help explain this to us. I was very blown away by India when I went there. There are so many things. There are so many cows and different things. So many people. So many things. So trash and everything. But the complexity of life in the spirituality and the colors and the music and everything. The dance is so amazing. So I hope we can get rid of this virus someday and come back over there, and maybe you can come here as well. And I do feel that there's value to these connections, and that sometimes we in the West think that we've got it all figured out, but there's such complexity in the music and so many things to learn that I hope that we can do more of this. So thank you to everyone, Raj, Yahor, Nirmalya Dey. Thank you for attending, Wayne, and Steve and Julie. And I just will mention we are going to continue with this series of the Planetary Gig Talk Live, and the next one we haven't set a date, but we're going to talk about music ashrams. Raj has agreed to talk with us again, as well as Biko Cassini with the group Rising Appalachia, and maybe another guest. We'll see. But I want to thank everyone so much. It's been very meaningful, and appreciate it. And we hope to see you all very soon. Namaste.
Thank you, Jefferson. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.